Hi everyone. Today I would like to talk to you about image generation with AI, and I would like to share with you one trick that helped me in multiple occasions. And this trick is called using correct reference images. It's very simple, and you probably know about how important it is to use correct reference images. But sometimes people do not really understand the scale of how you can implement this trick. So to explain what I mean, I will right away jump to the example I have for you. So this is the image that I was provided by the client, and the client had a very simple request. They told me they want this left passport to be replaced with their cocktail can. And I thought, okay, this should not be hard. It should be very easy to implement. They provided a reference image of their can. Here's the reference image of their can. It's a very high quality, and this image is very clear as well. I did not need to do anything except for replacing the left passport with their can so that it looks natural and realistic. So I thought, okay, this will not be a problem. And then I wasted so much time and effort trying to get the image that they requested. And all of these images are failed attempts to generate the image that I thought would take maximum like 3 generations. So what went wrong, you might think? Why didn't it work? Maybe it was the problem with your prompt. Maybe you used a wrong model for image generation. Well, for all these images, maybe I've used 5 different prompts. Some of them were generated with AI, some of them were written by me manually, but there was always one consistent problem: the grip. The AI could not implement the grip correctly. So let's go through some of the examples. You can see the models I used, the references I used, and the prompt itself right here, and see how my workflow changed. But I would like you to pay attention to the grip. As you can see, this is a problematic grip because it does not look realistic. The models I used in the beginning were Google Nano Banana Pro and Google Nano Banana 2. These are the 2 main models I use for my image generation and editing. But later I decided to test a different model. But we'll come to that in a minute. So I provided the 2 reference images. I gave a prompt that's very basic, and it did not give any good results because, yeah, talking about the grip looks the same as in the original image. And this is the grip that is appropriate for the 2 flat objects, so for the 2 flat passports, but you cannot hold the can realistically like this. So my goal was to change the image in such a way that the can is placed inside the palm realistically and the grip is realistic. And this did not look realistic at all. So I tried different prompts, and you can see that I never got something that was close to realistic. The prompts changed, the models have changed, but I kept running into the same problem. So this was something close to what I was looking for, but I had to edit some of my previous images to get this one. But still, the hand and the sleeve, they do not look like in the original image. They've changed a bit, and the client requested everything to stay the same. So I could not use this image. Additionally, the proportions also did not look very nice here. So at some point, I decided to test a different model. I decided to test Flux2 Pro, and it got much better results. It got much more realistic can and much more realistic lighting. But it kept doing the same mistake. The grip was still wrong grip. You cannot hold the 3D object, the 3D can like this. And I tried different prompts as well. So I've changed the prompts multiple times, but it didn't help. As you can see, I had the same issue. over and over again, no matter how I changed my prompt, no matter which image generation model I used, the grip was still incorrect until I managed to generate a correct grip. So I got one image from Google Nano Banana Pro with this prompt. I managed to get an image where the grip looked realistic. So this is how I wanted the grip to look, not like this. Because here it is clear that you're holding a 3D object. And now, what problem was with this one? So why wouldn't I go with this one? Because there was no sleeve. And I wanted to keep the sleeve as well, because I wanted to keep it as close to the original as I could. So I needed the image with sleeve. And what I thought at this point is, I'm doing something wrong. The grip is always a problem. So instead of using just 2 reference images, I decided, okay, why don't I just add one more reference image specifically for the grip to show how I want the grip to look. And that is exactly what I did. I did not care about the background. I did not care about the product. I did not care about anything in this image except for the grip. The only thing I needed from this image was the correct grip reference. And that was exactly what I did. And by the end, when I started adding three reference images here at this point, it was my first attempt to add the 3rd reference image. It was this image. I added it as a reference for the grip, and that was a moment when the image generation model started finally generating the grip I was looking for, the realistic grip of the product and the passport. And these were the 2 generations that I did not like. They still didn't have a sleeve, but then I finally got an image, and here it is. I finally got an image that looked realistic and had a realistic grip on it. The only thing that was problematic here was the lighting, but it was easy to adjust, so I just kept this image, my main image. And here was the final prompt. It was quite simple, but mostly what changed was this 3rd reference image. It was the image that showed only the grip. And finally, I got the image looking like the original one. It was a bit brighter. This one was a bit brighter, but still the brightness, lighting, it's the stuff that it is easy to adjust if everything else is correct. And in this image, I finally got the correct grip, the correct hand, and the correct proportion of the product and the passport. So basically, finally, the image was done, and it was done only thanks to our 3rd reference image. So the point I'm trying to make here is sometimes you will run into problems like this when AI just cannot, for some reason, generate the image that you're requesting. You cannot get the visual element right. And in such cases, you can give it a reference image of how exactly this visual element should look, and say that in this specific image, you have to pay attention to this, because everything else in your reference image may be wrong, but if that visual element that you cannot get right is right in that image, then you can still use it and ask AI to pay attention to exactly that visual element. Like I did in this case. I said the grab must look like in the 3rd image I provided. So I specified what exactly I want it to pay attention to. And finally, thanks to that, I was able to get the image I was looking for. So, to put it simple, if you cannot get some visual element generated the way you want, you can generate a separate image only with this visual element generated correctly. So ignoring everything except for this visual element, and then provide this visual element, this image, where everything might be wrong except for that visual element, provide it as a reference and ask AI to pay attention to that visual element. And this will save you a lot of time and effort, like it saved me. So I hope it was useful. Hope you'll be able to implement this in your workflow, and wish you a nice day. Bye bye.